Okay, this is the continuation. This is part 2 of the Zera Shimshon and Parshat Eikev in Kapitel Hey. Like I said, I'm breaking it into 2 parts because it's a little bit longer, but it's got some very important concepts for Yiddishkeit. So I'm on the second column here, third column actually. Let's say we explain these psukim in like we, according to the Bartanura explained in the Mishnah of Avos. It's impossible to say that. Why? The Hasam Avos nicha mishum de nakat halashon shel yiras chet. There it says the explanation. It's yiras chet. There's a number of different types of yira. Yiras chet is fear of sin, and that's a lowly madrega. And then there's yiras shamayim, which is a higher madrega. So he explains it here. Sumi Milas said, Yiras chet is mashma shiyori lasais hachet. He's afraid to do a sin. Zohi Milas arishoina sheyesh b'yira. This is from the first madregas of yira. I know liyos nizar me'achet, to be careful not to do a sin. V'hi nikres yiras chitzayna v'gerua. It's outside chitzaynias, and it's not a very lofty. It's expected of everybody. Be afraid to do a sin. That's number one. So in order to figure out what's prohibited and what's not, so he's got to learn to be able to know what to keep away from. He doesn't know which sins are, so you got to learn all the 613 mitzvahs to know exactly which one you have to stay away from. I want to learn and get that chachma in order to know what to stay away, to be frightened of. But the pasuk says it's not yiras chet, it's yiras Hashem. The mashma nami yira penimis. This is internal, more deep. Somebody didn't begin to learn, but who bore it's harini writes he can't say I'm going to learn now in order to get to that madrega of Yira Shemayim and Yira Panimis. He doesn't have the first level, which is Yiras Chet. And if he's not a wise person that learned a lot, he doesn't know how to distinguish between one type of Yira and another. It should write the pasuk the opposite. It says Yiras Hashem Reishis Chachma, Yiras Hashem Tchilas Chachma. It doesn't say that. It's mashma that the Yira is the beginning of wisdom, not the end. That's not true. All of his wisdom that he learns from Torah has to be with Yiras Hashem. The truth always conquers it lasts in the end. It's a Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Kuf Talid. Wisdom has to precede fear. The kasav tchilas chachma. I know the Beperek Kama the Megillah. It says Aminan Yagati u'Matzasi Tamin. So the Gemara says there. He says, I exerted myself and I found things. In other words, he found the answers. You could believe him. But if he didn't exert himself, he didn't find any answers, or he's just being lazy, you don't believe him. That's only to make yourself sharper in your learning. But to remember what you learned, that's siyata d'shmaya. Because if he doesn't have siyata d'shmaya, his Talmud will not continue to exist by him. Some people have much greater powers of remembering than others. So we got to do tshuva. So a person, the Gemara says there in the person should always go over everything first, and then goyrus. Goyrus means to say it over. And then afterwards, he was going to forget. But then afterwards, he'll remember. When he first begins learning, he doesn't have that Yer Shemayim that he's supposed to have in order for him not to forget. Therefore, his Talmud is not going to be kept in his, he's not going to be able to remember it. But after you get, like the one shlita says, the Parshat Drachim, which he has two ways to go, two roads, a fork in the road. Then Hashem goes with him. Then he has siyata d'shmaya. Then his Talmud, his learning will be kept. He'll be able to remember it. That's the first pasuk we discussed. The beginning of wisdom is Yiras Hashem. So if he has the yira that he needs, then he has the remembrance. He'll remember things that show his wisdom. That the beginning of realizing his wisdom is, true wisdom is that he has Yiras Hashem. And when he's privileged to that, then he's also privileged to the next madrega, which is bina. When he's mechadish one thing from another, he understands one thing, and then he adds on to it, and he understands it according to the halacha. That's from the pasuk we learned before. It says Hashem imay. David HaMelech was paskin correctly because Hashem was with him. He had Yiras Shamayim. If he acquires Yira when he's in his youth and he learns a lot, so he remembers everything later on in life. Even if he lives a little bit, and even if he didn't learn that, even if he didn't live that long, but it's as if he lived a long life. Chayim means le'olam haba. Shnais Chayim means le'mispar hayamim hatzvichim le'knais kol oisa hachachma. So it's given that all those years that he would have needed to acquire the wisdom that he needs. Even though he learned it in a few years. It says in Zera Shimshon, it says Zera Shimshon Rabbah, Rabbi Bon nach nafshe lekaf chesana. Rabbi Bon died when he was 28 years old. He spido alav, and they had a eulogy for him. He says, Yiga Rabbi Bon bekaf chesana mashe yisyagu achevim bekamashani. So he learned in 28 years what many other people would take many years to learn. What about the days that it says in Yosef the doesn't talk about he's getting that in the world to come. The idea the doctor got Seifa pasuk with Yosef the that pasuk in Mishlei which we discussed. V'chein al pasuk in Dvorim it says Harachta Yamim upirshu Chazal in the Gemara in Kiddushin Daftam Tes on the base. Le'olam shekulei arach. We're talking about the world that's forever, an eternal world. The kasha b'davar she'ein like kates v'tachlis. What are we talking about? Something that doesn't have an end. How can you say something that's infinite that you will have long days? What does that mean? There's no days there. It's infinite. So it doesn't have an end to it. And there's no hataisus arichas shaykh b'davar sheyesh legvul. There's no. It's not shaykh to have arichus and something that has a boundary. But that merit is Kadosh Baruch Hu extends his boundaries. Chagiga daf heyam base. Kola over avera pam achas b'shana ma'ala alav akasav kilo over akol shana. He does a sin once a year, and that sin is very bad. But it's as if he did it the whole year. Like we know that from the Meraglim. It says Yom Lashana, like Yom Lashana. They got punished for 40 days. Every 40 days was 1 year. So same thing. The opposite is true. 500 times more. That if he does a mitzvah once a year, it's as if he did it every day of the year. Lafi derech zeh nami man detanim perik gimel in Avos. He says in Mishnah Tazvav, Hakol lefi roiv hamaisa. Everything gets paid off, rewarded according to the majority of his deeds. Shenira mizeh shahochim dafka acher hamaisa. They go after what his deeds are. Tzorich lema shahochim nami acher hazman. Dahaino shemisha osa harbe mitzvos. B'mat shanim HaKadosh Baruch Hu choshev kilu hayo zman harbe. Chaya zman harbe. So if he did a few mitzvahs in very intensely in a few years, it's as if he lived a long time. And as if he did those mitzvahs many years. So not only gets the schar of the mitzvah, it's as if he did it many times, many years over. That whatever he did in those mitzvahs. That's what he means, arichas yamim. Well, length of days. Length of days. It's as if he had length of days in this world, the harboy schar, to increase his reward in the world to come. Just like the Rav, the Rabbi Avadami Bartanur says, "Kol lefi roiv hamaisa, lefi masha adam koifel umasmid be'asiyas hatayv." So the more they add on and multiply, the more he is constantly doing good things. Kach sachore meruba, so also his reward is fulfilled more. It's not similar at all to somebody who gives 100 gold coins to tzedakah, the meya pa'amim 100 times, to somebody who gives it one time. Some people think these big donors that give millions of dollars at one shot, they're doing a big mitzvah. No. They should give it $10,000 to 1,000 people, and then they'd be doing a big mitzvah, a bigger mitzvah. They get bigger reward for that. With Zeo, it says in Mishlei, and Tes Yad Aleph, Ki bi yibru yomecha v'yasifu l'chosh neis chayim. Because B is talking about in me in the Torah. Yirbu yamecha, you increase your days, and yasifu l'cho, and add the years of your life. B'kan loy kasav she'yasifu l'cho shalom. Here it doesn't say that it would increase peace. K'moshe kasav a pasuk, it says oyrich yamim u'shneis chayim v'shalom yasifu l'cho. There's another pasuk there on base Gimel on base. V'hainu mishum the pasuk hakodim. So it doesn't say anything mentioned. There's no mention of shalom over there. But somebody that has yiras Hashem and das kadoshim and holy knowledge, for sure he has peace. Why is that? He's from those people that are able to take offenses and people knocking him over, and he doesn't respond. He's quiet. And if they're talking about the peace of his soul, he might, like it says in Chazal, the last pasuk in Malachi, it says v'haheshiv was lashon tshuva. That's the lashon tshuva. The hainu she'Eliyahu yaseh Yisrael Yashuv b'tshuva shlema. So the Eliyahu has come, that's in the end of the pasuk there, and he will help the Jews do complete tshuva. That's when there will be at peace with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and not peace, but also complete. That's the peace that was given, or the completeness, it's more accurate, that was given to Pinchas, who was Eliyahu. Yira v'das kadoshim. It says somebody that has Zera Shimshon and holy thoughts, then Pshita Shekvar Yeshlei Zera Shalom. So somebody like that has peace, is complete. He doesn't need to have anything added to his life. He's complete. Aval hapasuk shel arich yamim u'shneis chayim hu. But the pasuk that says length of days and years of life is next to Samach LaPasuk HaKaidem in Mishlei, Per Gimel, Pasuk Aleph. B'ni Toirasi al Tishkach, my son, my Torah, don't forget. B'mitzvaisai yatzur libecho, and in my mitzvahs it should surround your heart. Ki yorechem mashneis chayim, hainu mi shaloi me Torah hutzvech la'azhora. Shal Yishkach. That's talking about somebody that is learning Torah, but he needs the warning that he shouldn't forget. He should wrap his heart around his learning. He's not yet fulfilled completely with Yiras Hashem. It could be he might take a sin, make a sin. But now that he's learning Torah there's an atonement for his sins. The Gemara says there, if you're learning in Torah, you don't have to bring a korban chatos and not a korban asham. And he needs the peace of his soul, the completeness of his soul. That is to be complete with God. And then Pesikta, in Parshat Pinchas, Gadol HaSholem shenintein Pinchas. Great is peace. There was this completeness that was given to Pinchas. Tzarchian, the Hailo Elohim Eipech. Gadol Pinchas shenintein Sholem. Why doesn't it say that great is Pinchas that he was given peace? Perfection. Shahasholem kvar anu yoidim shehu davar chashuv, because that's something we all know is very important. Why Davka Pinchas is so strong that by Pinchas it was given this attribute of peace. Every Jew is blessed with this attribute of shalom. It says Hashem Yivorechas Amay Bashalom. We say it every day, 3 times a day. According to what we said, everything is answered. If we're engaged in Torah learning with the right attitude, then it's the Hashem is giving us strength to His people. Then they're going to be blessed with peace. Then they'll be complete with blessing and extra things. But Pinchas wasn't given that opportunity until he did his job. So when was he given this peace? That he increased this attribute of peace, that he did help the Jewish people do tshuva. Since he was fitting to get such a huge reward, that's why he was given this. We hear from here that peace, or the completion, is a better word, is greater than anything. I know this is a little longer than regular, all from two sections, but I promised to do the segula anyway, so here it is. I can't forget the segula. Okay, the segula of the Zera Shimshon. And in much the same way that as from Yidden, we should always be trying for better and better mitzvah observance by doing Yiras Hashem. The same thing is true regarding our relationships with Gedolei Yisrael, both those who are still alive and those who have passed away. The Zera Shimshon was a prime example of a gadol with whom many Yidden have genuine relationship, even now, hundreds of years after his passing. The following letter was sent to Rabbi Yisrael Zilberberg. He says, quote, Dear Rabbi Yisrael, I was first introduced to the Sefer Zera Shimshon in the book Moments, the first volume in the Moments series written by Reb Nachman Seltzer. After I read about the Sefer, I found myself excited by what I had learned, and I decided to get hold of the Sefer and learn from it. I learned the Sefer regularly, and Baruch Hashem, within a short time, I saw incredible Yeshuas in my personal life. Living as I do in Europe, I wasn't sure how many people knew about the Sefer or how popular it was. But the longer I learned the Sefer, the clearer it became to me that I shouldn't just learn it by myself, but should do my best to share this treasure with other people. And that means if you know anybody that needs to learn the Zera Shimshon for whatever reason, have them join my party here. Just press on the join. I therefore began sending out weekly email to a list of people whom I knew I would enjoy a piece of Torah. I decided to begin writing the weekly email on Hanukkah and sat down to write the first one a few days later, which I sent out in that Erev Shabbos. Now, it so happens that I have a daughter who had gotten divorced a while before, and I very much wanted to see her find a shidduch so she would have another chance at fulfilling her dreams. While it was true that I was already learning the Sefer and could have claimed that this was enough, just learning it, I wanted to do something more, to tip the scales, as it were, for the schus of my daughter. Weeks and then months went by, and though at first nothing happened, my daughter did get engaged over a year after I first began writing my weekly emails. So sometimes these scholars take time. On one Motzei Shabbos, we were sitting around a table enjoying Malav Malka when we started discussing the events that led up to the shidduch. My son-in-law told us about some of the things that happened during his first marriage. I made the decision to get divorced and then move on with my life, he said. On Hanukkah, we separated a few days later and got divorced shortly thereafter. Rabbi Yisrael, I'm sure you won't be surprised to learn that the day my son-in-law made the decision to move on with his life was the exact same day that I made the decision to begin writing weekly emails on the Zera Shimshon. The whole situation was especially interesting to me since I had been learning and teaching the Sefer for so long without anything happening. But when my son-in-law told me his side of the story, I suddenly understood that I had been mistaken and that the Yeshua had already begun as soon as I took the first step. Naturally, I knew that I needed to share this story with you and all the people who care about the Zera Shimshon and affirm his legacy to more and more Yidden all over the world. Sincerely yours, Amiyud. Have atzlacha with all your avodas HaKodesh, especially Yiras Shamayim. Okay, have a good Tavach.